The Scorpion Sentinel Boss is the first main boss you'll come up against in Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it's fairly difficult to take out, especially if you stay as Cloud. Instead, what you want to do is change on over to Barret as soon as you can in the fight, and you can do that by pressing either the right or left directional buttons, and then you'll be able to fight it a little bit better. And the reason Barret is so much better is because he has lightning magic, and lightning magic is the best way to deliver a huge amount of damage to the Scorpion Sentinel. So you can see here, I'm just getting myself into a bit of a better position, and then I'm pressing X, and then I'm navigating down to spells, and I'm choosing Thunder, and Thunder is the lightning magic, and you can see it did 379 damage, which is way more than Barret's standard attack. And then the other thing that you can do is using abilities. So again, you just press X, access abilities, and that focus shot did a really good chunk of damage. Now, if you ever find yourself grabbed by the Scorpion Sentinel like I have here, then you just need to change back to Cloud by using one of the directional buttons and then unleashing as much hell on its tail as possible, and that will release Barret, and you'll be able to change back to him and go back into the fight. Now, as soon as you get to the point where you take off around about 25% of its health bar, it will transition into the new phase where it gets this shield, and this shield means that it's much more difficult to follow that same process. Instead, what you need to do is get behind it and do damage on its field generator, which you can get to much easier from behind. So you need to roll or run behind it. Avoid these attacks if you can, but try not to worry about them too much. You can always use potions to stay in the fight, but essentially what you want to do is position yourself behind it and still far enough away so that you don't get hit by that big move that it did mainly. And then for the rockets, you can also try and do the block move, but it doesn't always work out so easily. You'll then repeat that process over and over again, using things like the overcharge to do increased damage, and you'll eventually whittle it down until it loses its shield and you go back into the first phase of attack, where you're simply trying to use lightning magic to take it down. The Scorpion Sentinel will then transition back to having a shield, and you'll be back to attacking its rear portion with things like your charge attack and any abilities and your strongest attacks, essentially to just try to take that shield out of the equation. Cycle, rinse, repeat the two different phases until you get around about halfway through its health bar, and then it's going to transition into its next phase, which gives it this new attack from its tail tip that can do a huge chunk of damage. However, this is really easy to deal with because all you need to do is find some rubble to hide behind, so take Barret behind the rubble over the bridge, wait for the attack to come in, blow up the rubble, and then you can just unleash hell on the Scorpion Sentinel, much as you've done all the way before with thunder damage and any charge attacks and abilities, and you will destroy this sucker pretty quickly. One thing to look out for is your limit gauge, which is in the bottom right hand corner. You can see mine's just about to fill up. You get this by taking damage or staggering the enemy, which you'll see in the little note on the screen here. But essentially, you want to be able to use these limit breaks to do a huge amount of damage, and you can see you just go into them by pressing on X, scrolling down to limit and activating it, and again you just do a huge chunk of damage with that. But the best damage you can do is still with Thunder Spell. So if you find that you've run out of Thunder Spells, you can't access them anymore, use an Ether on yourself, and that will give you a whole new batch to be able to unleash on this thing. And then the final phase is that it gets this kind of auto repair process, so you need to beat it as quickly as possible. So again, using your most damaging moves, so Thunder, using the charge attack and your abilities, and you should be able to finish it off relatively quickly. And that is everything that you need to know about how to beat the Scorpion Sentinel Boss here in the Mako Reactor in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Hopefully that video helps you out. If it does, drop me a like below. As ever, it's massively appreciated. You can also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already with the links on the left hand side, and hit that bell button if you want to get notifications of all of my videos as they come out. You can see the rest of my guide to Final Fantasy VII Remake with the links on the right hand side. Leave any comments, let me know how you get on against the Sentinel Boss, and I will catch you next time.